What's up everyone? So today's video is both exciting and a little bit embarrassing at the same time. It's the first vlog in the Lotus Evora, which is awesome. I'm on a sweet back road, you know, taking some of these turns pretty cool. It's handling fantastic so far. This video is also a little embarrassing because of what I did before I bought the car that involves the keys and the trunk. Alright, so a week before I actually picked up the car, I went down to the dealership to check it out. I had, on my list of cars that I was searching for at the time, was the Evora, the Elise, and I was looking at some GTRs. They were a little bit outside my price range for right now, which is another reason I did go with the Evora, and I was going to pick up the Elise only if I kept the Genesis Coupe. So the Evora has turned out to be perfect for me so far. As a daily driver, the rear storage or the rear seats has been fantastic storage space for me so far. I don't use the trunk space as often. It does get pretty hot back there. Of course, the engine is right there. There is a bit of a divider between the trunk and the engine, which is nice, but again, it does get a little bit hot in there, so groceries are definitely going in the back seat here. So like I said, a week before I picked up the car, went down, checked it out. The dealership had actually just gotten in the car the day before, so it was, you know, pretty quick to check it out. And went down to the dealership, got the keys to it, took it for a test drive. You know, really liked it. So called up my brother and told him, hey, this car, you know, looks really cool. Why don't you come down, check it out? You know, I always love having a second opinion, especially my brothers. You know, we have a lot of the same thinking in our ideas and a lot of similarities in what we like to see. So had him come down. It was like a 2.5 hour drive for him, and about halfway, he was about halfway to the dealership. I had to make the call to him that I locked the keys in the trunk of the Evora. Pretty embarrassing move to do. I was working on some filming, taking the car for a test drive. I was going to make a video on it, and halfway through I was switching up some camera gear, and turns out that the keys were in my GoPro bag. So they were in my camera bag inside my backpack, inside the trunk. My brother, of course, was pretty bummed to hear that. He had driven an hour and a half. He still had an hour to go. And, you know, that's not news you want to hear when you're driving to go check out a Lotus Evora and you can't even drive it. So he was, needless to say, pretty bummed out. He got to the dealership. We were, at the time he got there, we were waiting for a locksmith, or, you know, we called a 24/7 company to have someone come down and check it out. That took 45 minutes before that person showed up. When he showed up, we went to check out the car. I was actually probably a half mile from the dealership, so, you know, I was close, but still not on the lot. So that's where the car was. Had the guy come out. We met him out there and went and opened up. We had access to inside the cabin here, so I had one of the doors open. This guy shows up, comes to the passenger side and starts trying to pick, you know, that door. And we're just looking at each other like, you know, this guy walked around the driver's side, and we thought, you know, he would go back to the trunk. That's what we had told him when we talked on the phone. So the minute we told him that we had access to inside, we could easily open up the passenger door, he bolted. He didn't even want to take a look at the trunk. He just took off. We were, of course, pretty bummed when that happened. You know, you're waiting 45 minutes, guy shows up, and then he just leaves. So, you know, trying to go through every possible scenario on how to get this trunk open. Now, there is a release handle underneath the back seat. Unfortunately, since the dealer had just gotten the car in, they weren't able to go over their normal inspection of the car. So that wasn't hooked up yet. Otherwise, you know, we would have been able to easily open the trunk. And on the 2010, there's actually no button on the inside anywhere. On the 11s and newer there is, So the only way to open up the trunk in this car is from the key fob. After the first guy left, we were kind of running out of options, things to do, trying to do anything we could, jiggling that lock and all that. And so we were doing a lot more research, trying to find somebody, some 24/7 company that could help us out. We reached another guy. It took him about an hour to show up. He had a lot of experience with Porsches is what he told us. He was like, if I can't pick this lock, no one else can. So we had high hopes for this guy, working on some other high-end cars. Of course, Porsches don't have, any locks on the rear either. There's no key in the back to unlock the trunk. So we were really excited. We were like, this guy, he can work on Porsches. He's got to be the guy to get this trunk open. So we waited for about an hour for him to show up. He came in, started, trying to come up with some ideas, and he eventually started taking the back out. We had to remove these seat belts so we could pop the pillars off here, pillar covers, take that whole back section out. He was taking the back seats out and everything, trying to figure out a way to get through that firewall and into the trunk. So there's actually a little hole, a little box behind the back seat that you can take off. Unfortunately, it just goes right to the front of the engine. After all day trying to figure out the best way to unlock the trunk, turns out we were unsuccessful in it. I ended up getting to the dealership about 10 o'clock in the morning. I didn't leave until around 5:30. And, it was a bummer to be able to check out this car, go through. I didn't really even get to mess with anything. I just drove it around for a little bit, had my brother come down, and that was it. So that was pretty disappointing, to be honest. I was pretty mad at myself for, that was the first time I had ever locked the keys in a car, and it wasn't even mine. So, the guys at the dealership were really cool about it. They went through a lot. They had to get a tow truck to eventually take the car home, and actually had to remove the whole entire trunk lid. So let's go ahead and check out what the dealer had to do in order to get my keys out. Basically, this whole upper portion is all brand new. They basically had to break into the trunk through here, and then they were able to get up underneath the trunk here and eventually release the trunk here. So you can't even get back in here to get that release. It's pretty well hidden away back there. So I have a brand new piece, which is cool, I guess, but didn't happen in the coolest way, of course. Very embarrassing for myself, but as you can see, this is where my keys are now placed every time I'm outside of the car. As much as this was kind of an embarrassing moment, I guess, it was kind of a good lesson for me. It's unfortunate that it happened at the dealer, but it's also kind of good in a good way. If I had been out on a mountain road and didn't know that the emergency release wasn't hooked up, just out in the middle of nowhere on some back road, I would have been pretty stuck, even if my phone, anything else was back in there. So while it is kind of, disappointing, it worked out, in the end. Again, the dealership was really cool about it and helping me out. We went back the next week, had my brother with me this time. He was able to drive the car. Super excited, of course, to be able to do that. And that's also when I picked up the car. So a week of, intense, when will I get all my stuff back? I actually had all my camera gear locked in the trunk for about a week. Was pretty nerve-wracking, even though I hadn't owned the car at the time. So, really glad that the guys at the dealership helped me out. Maserati Lotus of Greenville, super cool about it. And, overall, now I know what not to do in my Lotus Evora. I have this cool lanyard now. I wear that around my neck all the time. No matter when I get out of the car, this is now on me. My keys, of course, attached to it pretty good, so that way I don't do the same mistake. I do have that emergency release cable now fixed. Hopefully, nothing goes wrong with that. Hopefully I don't even have to grab it or attempt to use it. which, you know, again, is why I have this. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Pretty embarrassing moment for me. Learned the hard way, but you know, it happened relatively close, and I didn't have to, you know, call a tow truck or even have someone come from home, drive hours to come get me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely check out the collection day video, as well as tons of more videos that we have coming of this car, driving clips, you know, hopefully a track day soon, and more of the modifications that will come of this car. Give the video the thumbs up, guys, if you enjoyed it. Like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. See you guys next video.